Morning, morning. President of the Small Ruminants Association of Jamaica. Today I have some tips here for construction that I have, learned over the years. And one of the first things that I spoke about the other day is this bolt that they use in old-time construction when they were doing. I think it's called a lag bolt. Now you could get this bolt in different measurements, like 6 inches, 8 inches. And when you had say for example, a 4x4 or very thick piece of board, they used to use these screws to bolt the boards together. They didn't use nails as much. So this for example is a door jamb, an old door jamb. They also used to screw these lag bolts inside the board like this. And then they would cement this in the wall. This was one of the methods that they used in the olden days. Nowadays they use like 4-inch nail and drive it in there and cement it in your door jamb. But this is where, when I was talking the other day about using the threaded rod and bolt those thick boards, I just generally speaking bolt the boards together with this kind of technology, which is something very old that I saw when I was younger. People using these bolts and this kind of technology, which is the same as using the threaded rod. Also, in now modern times, we have these bolts that we use. I call them Hilti bolt, or some kind of anchor bolt, but I call them Hilti bolts because that's where I saw them first. I like using these bolts to bolt down, things to concrete. These bolts never pull back out of the concrete when you drive them. And sometimes we use epoxy or some glue in the hole when we drill it, and this just hammer in the ground. I like using them. I think this is the one that is very popular in Jamaica. We call these roll bolt. I don't really like these to hold down heavy loads. I think these are much better. So you have roll bolt to concrete. You have these Hilti type bolts, and this is really were used in the olden days with a square head. They were used to bolt boards together, and I've seen a lot of these in the older roofs. I've also seen them use bolt and nut in those older roofs also. But today I also wanted to bring another point in our construction. So when we are building our goat house or refurbishing our house or putting on those roofs and those zincs, there are some basic things that I like to tell people. So I like to use these and bolt down the 2x4 or the 4x4s and so forth, and they come in different sizes. Now another thing is I drove these 2 nails in here. It don't look exactly correct, right? But when you're driving nails, right, especially nails that are going to be under wind and so forth. In the olden days, I always used to see they drive the nails at an angle, like a 30-degree angle or something like that. You usually will drive it this way and another one in another direction. What happens is that when you drive the nails at an angle like this and you nail it down to, say, a 4x4 or whatever you nail it down to, this will not lift so easily. You would have to probably break up this board or take a saw and cut the nails for this to be pulled out. It is not very easy. So you should really be driving nail, not straight down, but at an angle like this. Another thing that I would like to bring to your attention, if you have construction engineers or carpenters that are doing your installation of your roofs or doing anything professional, right? We should embrace modern technology. So for example, this is a nail gun, and this is what you call a nail gun that you use to drive these nails. It uses some special nails. These nails, if you look on this box, for example, it has the specifications. This is a 30-degree framing nail. It comes in different sizes, right? And this is what the 30 degrees gun use. Now, this 30-degree gun, what it does, it drives the nail at an angle just like this. And the nails have some grip on them. They have some, like a fish scale kind of grip on them. So when these nails go inside of the wood, you don't pull them out so easy. This is modern technology here. I think that most roofs or carpenters who are putting on roofs should be using nail gun to put on secure some of these lumbers that they're doing, especially in the roof and certain areas that you don't want to separate. This thing, when you nail 2 pieces of board with this, you will never, to pull this out is not easy. So as you can see, this went in at an angle. I did this one straight like this with the nail gun, but it put it in at a 30-degree angle. So once you nail at an angle at the 2 ends of this board, you will not be able to draw it out so easily. It becomes a more secure operation. So I'm not an expert at this. I just got my nail gun. So for example, if you were to operate this nail gun and you put it at an angle like this, or you just put it here, it fires it, and you see what happens. You can nail quite easily like this. If you were to do it straight down like this and you hold it straight, you see, it goes in like that at an angle. So this makes your work so much easier. So really and truly, professionals should be using tools like this because it makes their work faster, easier, and much stronger. So these nails are even stronger than regular nails. They are much tougher and stronger. So I wanted to bring these tips to you. Another thing I must mention to you, when we are using bolting on, especially the zincs, similar to what we are giving away, they are really the industrial zincs. And with the industrial zinc, you do not, it is not recommended to bolt it down with fillets, much like how you see here. With the industrial zinc, you put this screw, you use like a 2-inch screw in the trough and not on the hip, and just bolt it straight to the board. You don't really need to use fillet and do that. So, you know what the zinc screw looks like? The zinc screw has a rubber on it. So when you're screwing down the zinc screw, for example, this board looks like about, 1.5, 2 inches. You just get a 2-inch zinc screw and you would nail it to the trough right inside here, and you screw it down. That rubber gasket will go down tight and squeeze down on the zinc, and it will never leak. When you put it into the hip like here, what happens is that with expansion and contraction, it can leave the bolt after a time, and different things can happen and it can leak in this area. So that's what I recommend. Another thing I like in construction is these screws. I don't know what they call them, but I buy these screws. They are long, very, very strong, and you can use these and screw your boards together. I really believe in using screws and bolt and nut and the nail from that nail gun. And these screws are long. You get them in 3-inch, 4-inch, 2-inch. And when you use these and screw things together, they also come in galvanized. They don't rust so easy, and they are really strong, and they really hold things great together. So all of these kind of simple things, modern, because this is a modern screw basically that we can use in our construction to make everything stronger and more hurricane proof. As usual, I'm just bringing these little tips because these are some of the things that I do whenever I'm doing my little construction, and I wish you all the best in rebuilding. Try to rebuild stronger and better and make things, a lot more safer for everyone. As usual, this is Trevor Bernard, President of the Small Ruminants Association,